The year is 2010, and you've been hoping all year for Christmas that you would get a video game console and a video game. You've been trying to be the best person you can be and hoping Santa would just give those two things to you. So on Christmas morning, you go downstairs, you meet your family, and you start unwrapping presents. But to your dismay, of all the presents you've unwrapped, none of them are a video game or a video game console. But then you see your dad walk away and come back with two suspicious looking presents. You unwrap them and you realized, holy crap, it's an Xbox 360 and Call of Duty Black Ops? So for the next hour and 30 minutes, you spend the time of setting it up and getting everything ready. And when the time comes, you plug in that video game, and you are welcomed with this. So if you're from the ages of about 20 to 30, there's one word you probably felt while watching that intro, and that was nostalgia. Nostalgia for a simpler time when video games were something you just did because you wanted to have fun after school, and where the only thing you had to really worry about was school. When comparing that feeling from back then to how you feel about video games or even life in general nowadays, you might feel disillusioned. But why is it? Why is it now, out of all the time periods in your life, why do you feel as if you just don't like video games anymore, or even the video game industry? Is it because you have rose-tinted glasses where you just see everything from the past is just so much better? Or is it because that feeling is genuine and the games that you played just aren't up to snuff to what you remember them to be? I think it's a bit of both. Nostalgia is defined as a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. And if there's one type of person that has nostalgia in spades, that's your average basement-dwelling nerd. These types of people will flock to forums saying that video games aren't good anymore. Games like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and a myriad of other AAA games are soulless and boring. So are they right, or are they merely looking at the game industry from a point of nostalgia? And you see, that's where I think the issue lies, is that a lot of people do look at video games from a nostalgic viewpoint. I view the video games that I played when I was a kid much better, and the games that I play now, I just don't think are as good, and I think that is to do with age. I'm an older person. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and my expectations are much different from what I would say 12 years ago. But not only have I grown, but also the industry itself. Games now focus more on online capabilities and microtransactions. This is simply because companies make more money. And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize, is that the people making these video games, while yes, they are artists, they are also a business and they need to make money, especially if they're a publicly traded business. Publicly traded business has an obligation to make as much money as possible. So as a business that wants to make money, a lot of AAA developers tap into that little well of nostalgia. So let me paint you a picture. You're a big-time video game executive at a video game company, and you're rich, you drive a nice car, and you keep telling that one intern that smelling her is perfectly fine. It is actually within company guidelines. But you need to make as much money this quarter or your shareholders will be pissed. So you think to yourself, well, that new game that's supposed to be coming out soon is going to be taking a long time. So let me look at our other releases from the past. and you see that one big game that everyone remembers and everyone loves, and you think to yourself, why don't I just reboot or release this with just better graphics and then call it a day? Jesus Christ, I'm a genius. Bonuses for me, but no one else! What about me? Huh? Me? I designed your video game the way you wanted it. I worked 20 hours of overtime. Don't I get a bonus?
You serious?
Let me think about it real quick. Yeah, no, go fuck yourself. So if there's anything you can extrapolate from that painting I gave you, is that the video game industry is kind of, fucked. And that's for a myriad of reasons. I would say mostly it's to do with the structure of them and, most importantly, the executives of these companies. Most of the time, the biggest problem is the executives want money, which isn't bad, but the way they go about it is they try and min-max their way through it. Just like your basement dweller min-maxing their character in Skyrim, they min-max the amount of money they can get through the video games that they've released. Now, there are 3 good examples of how companies do this. The first one is re-releasing older games, because honestly, it's easy. All you gotta do is take a popular title that you release back in the good old days, so to speak, and just update it. Literally, you can basically take all the assets, just make it look better, and bada bing, bada boom, you have yourself a new product that people are gonna buy because they go, oh, hey, that's the game I remember when I was a kid. I'm gonna buy it. Now, there's also a second one, and that's microtransactions. Everyone knows of microtransactions. Everyone loves microtransactions, especially EA and Valve. Valve is probably worse, but no one talks about it. But EA has been very, 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 very predatory when it comes to their microtransactions, with the most notorious of them being in their sports games, especially FIFA, where they release a game each and every year, meaning new cards that are to drop that you can buy to get Messi Ronaldo. Oh my god, don't you want Messi in your fantasy football team? I don't know, I don't play FIFA. But then there's a third one. There's a third disgusting one that's even more disgusting than the prior two, and that's releasing an unfinished game. Now you might be going, well, how is this worse? I mean, microtransactions are horrible. You know, little kids gambling their mom's money away is horrible. Yeah, it's not as bad as releasing an unfinished game, because at least when you have microtransactions, it works as intended. For, you know, how bad that is, it still works as intended. But no, when you release an unfinished game, you can't play it. You can barely play it. It's a piece of shit that barely works. That's like glued together with fucking Elmo's glue or in fucking duct tape and shit. A good example of this is Fallout 76, in which upon launch there were so many bugs, some YouTuber took it upon themselves to report all the bugs in one video. This video is 3 hours long, just for bugs. And there's no repeated bugs. They're all different bugs. I don't know how you do that. That's actually insane that you're that inept at your job that you would be able to make that many bugs a possibility. But you see, it isn't the people working on it. It's the executives rushing out a video game. And this is because video games are a time-consuming process. It takes many, 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 many years to be able to create one video game, depending on the size. I think it was Red Dead Redemption, in which it took almost a decade to actually complete. And you see, that's good. But Rockstar has all the money in the world, and other game companies don't. So when a game company takes it upon themselves to make a game, that game better be good, and it better make money. So what they usually do to ensure that they make their money is that they hype it as much as possible. A good example is Cyberpunk 2077.
Why do you come here?
Where CD Projekt Red hyped the game to such extraordinary measures that everyone thought it was going to be the GOAT of video games. Basically what LeBron was to basketball. That's how everyone was treating this game. I mean, you can't help that you had Keanu Reeves as the face of it.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
But still, everyone thought it was going to be good. But because of the rush game development, it came out like a fucking piece of shit. It came out, instead of being the goat, it was like goat cheese. Disgusting as shit. I don't care if you like goat cheese, you're a horrible person for liking it. It's disgusting. And just like goat cheese, Cyberpunk 2077 was disgusting upon launch, and that was because of the rush game development. With these three things in mind, it's no wonder why people don't like modern day video games. They're either rushed and buggy, they're re-releases of prior video games, and they're so ridden of microtransactions you wouldn't be surprised if you found an STD in there as well. Or multiple STDs if we consider certain games. Just thinking about it makes me want to throw up. Oh god. So, in essence, what can we take away from this video? Well, for one, you definitely idealize the past and you think of your childhood fondly, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means you remember the good old days. You remember a time of just splendor, and you've just grown old and you just are different. You're a different person. That doesn't mean you have to hate video games. And I think the issue lies where, the video games you play. A lot of the video games you might be playing are AAA games, are in which they're just this kind of the same old thing without much change. And that's because you keep supporting that system. If you want the video game industry to change, stop pre-ordering games and wait until you see a review of the final product to actually make a purchase. That way it doesn't support the big AAA developers of making the same games, and they'll finally realize, oh shit, maybe we should actually make a good product and stop making the same thing. But if we don't take the correct steps to resolve this issue within the video game industry, we're just going to get the same old, pushing for better days, and for days long gone to the past and to time. So, I think this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you'd like to like, comment, and subscribe, do that. I really don't care. All I wish for is that you have a nice day, and goodbye.